Coach, lights come on for real on a Friday night. Talk a little bit about the scrimmage last week against Pendleton, what you guys learned, what you liked, and what you didn't like about the scrimmage.
Well, I thought for the most part we did okay in the scrimmage, and it was a typical scrimmage. We saw some things that we really liked and we could build upon, and saw a few things that obviously we needed to fix and clean up. And I thought if nothing else, as we went in, we were a little shorthanded. Had a two-way starter with some family, and had a couple other kids banged up. So if nothing else, I think we established a little bit of depth early in the season there in some positions, and like I said, we had some things to build on, and some things that we've been working on all week.
I thought you threw the ball pretty well.
Yeah, I thought Jordan did a nice job throwing the ball pretty well. The receivers did a nice job, and of course the key is the offensive line. Yeah. I thought that they minus one or two times. One time it was the backs problem, but I thought we picked up the blitzes and did pretty well for the scrimmage.
Yeah, and they were able, speaking of that offensive line, they were able to open up some nice holes. I know Parker's a little banged up going into this one, but I thought they did some nice jobs, a good job when it came to open up some holes for him.
Yeah, I thought that we needed to be. I think overall we need to be more physical on the offensive line. I was real proud the kids, even we have a couple sophomores in there working and playing in, and everybody seemed to know their assignment. We just need to continue about being a little bit more physical and coming off the ball. But I thought for the most part it was a pretty good showing for them, and as they continue to grow and mature and work together as a unit, I suspect that before it's all over with, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? That's pretty good size, though. I mean, from tackle to tackle, right? I mean,
yeah, obviously we're, I think, going across the front, depending upon who we have in, we have a couple sophomores, 165, 166. Shea and Colton do a nice job coming in. And yeah, we do have some pretty good size. The run of the litter kind of right now is Gavin Farrar, our center. But he's doing a great job stepping up. And, heck, last year, or in fact, pretty much all summer, he was an H-back for us. And we needed a little bit of depth in offensive line. And just kind of by chance, we had him snap the ball a little bit and liked what we saw, and so he's worked his way in and starting lineup there at the center position.
All right, talk a little bit about the offense. Let's talk about defense and some of the areas of concern there. Not as much size, you can kind of tell on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're pretty pleased with and happy with, and I think that as people come out and watch us play, I think for the most part we'll have some pretty good overall team speed on not only on the offensive side but on the defensive side as well. Now, there's good and bad to that. I think we'll fly around. I think we'll be aggressive on the defensive side, and it'll be fun to watch. Later on when Connersville has some good size, one half of their line does. But when we get, and they're kind of a power running team, but I think when you start getting to some of the typical bigger teams, Kokomo's, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're really going to be tested when we see those kind of teams. But I think that for the most part, defense is coming along pretty well, and hopefully we'll be able to make some good plays for us.
With that lack of size on defense, have you changed anything from a scheme standpoint at all?
We tweaked a little bit here or there. We're running more of a 4-2-5 as opposed to a typical 4-4. Our principles basically stay the same depending upon the formation that the offense gives us. It'll look like a 4-4, but really we put another defensive back out there to continue to provide some more speed and athletic ability. So, we've tweaked a little bit, but for the most part, we're fundamentally the same.
Coach Lee said to me at one point, don't be surprised if you see a three-man front. Will we see some of that?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think our strike package, any more as the game of football evolves and we're seeing more and more spread teams. A lot of teams play an odd front, and an odd front nowadays instead of the old 50 is a three-man front. And we've played that. We've had that in our package the last several years, and we'll continue to do that. And again, depending upon what the offense that we face that week, we may see more or less of it.
First game of the year can be very difficult. You're familiar with Connersville and what they run and such, but maybe not all of the personnel because you have no film on them currently. How difficult is it to go into that first game and be prepared as much as you can?
Well, that's always a little bit of a crapshoot. I mean, I think, when you go in and typically week by week you'll exchange 2 films and starters and rosters and all that stuff, and generally as football coaches, you feel like there's not too many secrets as you get into the season because everybody watches film on that. But the first game is always a little interesting. All you have on your opponent is really the scrimmage, which is in a controlled environment. And I don't think that you could ask 100 coaches and 99% of them say, yeah, we stay pretty vanilla. We don't show a whole lot. We don't do a whole lot. We work on the basics. So it's always a little bit interesting. I don't say nerve-wracking, but you always know that there's going to have to be some adjustments made on the sidelines as you get into that first game, and we anticipate that. Coach Kelly does a great job with those guys, and I'm sure he'll have us. Will try to defend us very well, and that's where the chess match comes in.
What do you take from last year's game?
What do we take from last year's game? Well, I think that. Connersville does a pretty nice job. As I said, I think he's instilled a little bit of pride into that program, and a program that has kind of been downtrodden a little bit. I think that he has worked them and provided them the stability to come on and be ready to play every game.
Right.
And even if they, I think years in, year out, if the talent level's up or down, I think that stability and the approach that he brings, I think they're going to be in an awful lot of ball games just from a toughness and mentality and a mindset that they're coming ready to play, and they're going to be prepared.
Gonzalez is not back from last year. A couple of key players not back from a year ago, but they do have a pretty good core. Speaking of a team that takes a lot of pride, they've got some good kids back.
Yeah, they have some good kids. They have several really big kids on the offensive line, and they play defensive line as well. A very talented tailback, and they're a little bit young. They graduated quite a bit last year. They're a little young. Have a freshman quarterback, and when you look at that, you kind of it makes you wonder a little bit. But obviously, there's a reason why he's playing varsity football, whether he's a freshman or not. And what I think a lot of people don't realize was, a couple years ago when Jordan Christian eventually took over the starting quarterback job as a sophomore and had that outstanding season. Age-wise, he's young. Age-wise, he could have been a freshman that year as well. So, here he is. He throws over 2,000 yards and that. And now, granted, Connersville's offense is a little different than what ours was, but they do have some youth. And sometimes that's a little bit dangerous because they just don't know what they don't know.
Right. So. On the other side of the coin, do you guys then take the attitude, he's a freshman, let's blitz him, let's go after him a little bit more and try to shake him up?
Well, yeah, we would if they threw the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
At least what we've seen in film. They're a power running team, and they run some options. So I think that with those big kids that they have on the one side of the line, they, at least on film, they were predominant a one-handed team. But I'm sure that's that'll change over encounters and that kind of stuff to the backside. But they're also pretty good with the option and a little midline option, double dive, a little bit of triple option. So we're going to have to be ready for the physicality of a run dominating team, but also be disciplined enough to read our keys and don't let anybody get out there on the option for it against us.
Before I let you go, a couple of banged up players, but it looks like, at least from this standpoint, you should be relatively healthy for this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be more healthy this week than we were last week, this week we've kind of been nursing kids back slowly and barring some setbacks or early indications either tonight in practice or in pregame tomorrow, we're expecting we should be pretty close to full go and if we're not, the game's there anyway, and our model's always kind of been next man up, and it just doesn't matter, and it doesn't change expectations or what we hope the outcome to be.
Coach, good luck.
Great, thanks.